My name's Dave Bruno. I work for a company called RedPrairie. I'm based in San Diego. Our company's based in Atlanta. RedPrairie delivers pretty much end-to-end supply chain solutions for industries including retail. We have a long list of apparel companies. We'll talk about this at the very end of my session today. But my role at RedPrairie is I'm the director of this program called Commerce in Motion. My title is Director of Commerce Studies, and I spend most of my days studying the business of commerce and how companies move products throughout the entire supply chain from the point of procurement to the point of transaction, wherever that transaction may occur, whether it's a B2B transaction or a B2C transaction transpiring in the store, on the website, through the mobile phone, through Facebook, things like that. And what I'm here to talk to you about today is something I sort of playfully called SoMoLo 101. So this is one of those dreaded, technology people like me make up these acronyms and hope you guys can figure them all out. Have you guys heard of that acronym before? Seeing this description on the agenda for the thing? Okay, that's interesting because you may start to see more of it. SoMoLo or SoLoMo, of course, because we're technology people and we get them confused. God help you guys trying to keep them all straight. But we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll talk about the who, the what, the why, and sort of how to fulfill fashion's SoMoLo imperative. So the first thing I'd like to invite you to do, if you have a phone and you hear anything interesting that I have to say, I welcome you to tweet about it. I try to find things on the hashtag Commerce in Motion. So if you have something to say, particularly if it's positive, I'd love to see you tweet about it with the hashtag. So Commerce in Motion is the hashtag. But sort of in keeping with, the 101 theme, SoMoLo 101, the first question is, who are these SoMoLo shoppers? And you're probably saying, what the heck is a SoMoLo shopper? If you hadn't heard the acronym before reading the agenda today. But SoMoLo shoppers are shoppers who put social, mobile, and local technologies and platforms and networks to work to enrich and enhance their shopping journeys, whether it's a single shopping journey or part and parcel of their shopping lifestyle. We've sort of come to identify these shoppers as SoMoLo shoppers. Okay, any questions on that other than man, you technology people really are geeks. I know. So we made up a word for that. And then you're saying, well, okay, not only are you geeks for giving them this weird name, but why do you pay attention to them? Why are we studying these SoMoLo shoppers? And study, we'll talk about in just a second, because frankly, they're everywhere, right? How many of you have used one or more of these apps in your shopping journeys, right? I mean, it's just part and parcel of what we do. And the studies tell us that it's about 1 out of every 2 people today are using one or more of these apps, whether it's price comparison shopping with Red Laser, looking for what your friends think about things on Facebook, Twitter, Shop Savvy, all of the apps combined. They're pretty much everywhere. And so when we say, why do we study these people at Commerce in Motion, hi, come on in, you guys, please. No, not at all. At Commerce in Motion, we literally did study them. So I'd like to talk to you first a little bit about the results of this study that we called the SoMoLo imperative. And in a quick recap, we found that people, their demands for these kinds of connections, these types of technologies are continuing to escalate at a rather dramatic pace. And just as a brief overview of the study, I won't bore you with all the demographics, but we conducted the study in December. So this is real fresh data. We had almost 300 companies respond to the survey. And what we asked these companies was, tell us what your customers expect of your business. So we've all, if you pay any attention to the social data or the mobile data, the vast majority of the data in the marketplace today is from the consumer's perspective. People are surveying consumers and saying, how do you use mobile to shop? How do you use social technologies to enhance your shopping experiences? Well, we sort of turned that on its side and said, we'd like to ask the businesses what they think their customers are expecting of them. And we thought we might get some interesting results as more and more companies are starting to pay more and more attention to this. So for the first few minutes today, I'll just walk you briefly through some of the results that we found, we think enlightening and perhaps helpful to you as you start thinking about engaging your customers through these technologies. And by the way, these technologies are not by any means the exclusive domain of retailers. right? Brands and manufacturers oftentimes have the best content available about the merchandise that they have to sell and can be either a partner, a collaborator, or frankly a competitor. And we all know the channel conflict issues that we're dealing with as an industry as manufacturers go more and more direct. I don't want to sidetrack the conversation with something potentially controversial like that. But you know, the notion of being able to use these tools to reach the customer to either enrich product information and or transact is not by any stretch the domain simply of the retail industry. So when you look at these things from wherever your point of view is, whether you're a manufacturer or a brand or somewhere in between. And the first thing, no surprise here, that the companies we surveyed said their customers care a lot about mobility. They care an awful lot about putting their phones to work in their shopping journeys, and fully almost 60% of them said their customers want discounts sent to the phone. No surprise there. We've all shopped on Groupon. We all know how much we love to put our phones to work to help us find deals. But if we look at some of the more weighty items beyond just getting discounts, we still see some fairly significant numbers. Almost 50%, 46% said that their customers want them to place orders on their phone. And I love to do this when I talk about this survey. If I get a show of hands, how many people have used their phone to actually buy something in the room? Wow, really? You've actually given a credit card number over your mobile phone to buy something besides digital content like ringtones or songs, but like physical merchandise? Yeah. Yes, really? Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, that's the biggest number I've ever had when I've done these kinds of talks. So good for you. How about QR codes? You guys use QR codes, or are you burned out on them already? Burned out? Most people, because you go and you click it, you like them? No, you don't like them, but you're not burned out.
No, I mean, we did a few, but didn't really find that we were getting the traffic to them.
Yeah, right?
We're just trying to focus more on Facebook and having a place to buy our product.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So QR codes have been around for a long time, right? They started in Asia, and actually most people don't know this, but they were so popular in Asia. That's why most of us have phones on our cameras today, because the Asian market wanted to be able to have good cameras to snap the QR codes to access the content. Where most companies in the States have fallen down in using QR codes is they've not put mobile optimized content at the other end of these codes. So if you pick up a lot of fashion magazines today, any magazine, and that's a great place to test them, right? You know, you just pick up a magazine, if you got a code reader on your phone, snap a few tags as you're flipping through the pages, and you'd be surprised how many people take you to the full website, not the mobile optimized site where you're scrolling up and then scrolling over and then pinching and zooming, right? That's not a good experience, and people bail out very quickly. So conversion rates are very low, but companies say their customers still want them to use them. Almost 40% of the companies said almost 40% of their customers want QR codes, and then tablets. Of course, we all know the rise of the tablet here in the last 18 to 24 months. No surprise there that 50% said their customers want to be able to shop them on the tablet. This one was a little bit surprising. I put the word only in parentheses here because I'm not sure. Is it only 38% said they want to be able to browse, their customers want to be able to browse, shop, and buy via social sites? With the amount of buzz that Facebook particularly gets on a daily basis, I would have thought that number would have been higher, although since we conducted the survey in December, there's been some fairly significant companies that have pulled their Facebook shopping apps off the site and are using them just for content. So now it doesn't surprise me. When I first got the results of this survey, I was like, wow, only 38%. But I've long been a believer that Facebook is more a domain for content and engagement and interaction, not necessarily a place to duplicate your product catalog. You know, I think there's a time and a place for Facebook in the model, but I'm not sure we need to just duplicate our product catalogs there. So maybe the industry's sort of starting to figure that out. Certainly sounds like consumers are. And then lastly, what I call micro-local. I just made that up because I'm a technology guy and we make up acronyms every chance we get. But the idea of Shopkick. You guys know Shopkick, right? We were walking in the store. If you download the Shopkick app, there are others. Shopkick is the most famous, where you're walking around the store and it guides you through the store. And it says, hey Dave, if you go over into the basics department right now and scan this item, we'll give you 25 points. Or go over to the hosiery department, and we'll do this. Or go to dresses and you can get this incentive. So this is an app that does that. Shopkick is somewhat unique because all of their retailer partners, they share the points, and they all can, so you can redeem points at anywhere that's on the Shopkick network. So it's kind of nice whether I shop at Macy's or Best Buy, if I'm gathering points at a retailer in the Shopkick network by doing what they want me to do in the store, I get points that I can redeem at any Shopkick place. And I was surprised this number. This number was big to me. Almost 30% of companies said their customers want department-specific messages and offers to be sent to their phones when they're inside the store. It's a little, yes sir, yeah.
Do you have to check in with this like you would with like a Foursquare, or does it automatically?
No, it's right. That's a great question. No, you do not have to check in with this, but you have to have the app open. Okay?
Oh.
And now that will change quickly now too. But as it stands today, you do need to have the app open to get the messages. But no check-in is required. And there's a word for it that's becoming a buzzword, and I can't think of it. Kelly, do you know it? Do you remember it? No. Okay, so anyway, so almost 30% said their customers wanted it, which surprised me when I wrote the analysis in December. But just last week, now this is Aisle Buyer, and this is a magazine a study that's really targeted more to CPG, grocery, and drugs. So that we have to take that into account for our own businesses, but it's fully 75%, and this is surveying consumers, 75% said they would switch brands if they were offered those real-time promotions to their smartphones while shopping in a store aisle. So again, this is CPG and grocery and drug and things, so it's a very different model, but indicative. The number was big enough, I thought I'd share it with you guys. So this just came out last week. More and more people are saying, yeah, feed me. Absolutely, without question. Great analogy. Right, for years, right? I'm not old enough to remember that, but I heard it was very effective. No, yeah, right, totally. Because neither are you. We both have just heard of it, right? Exactly. So yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah, that good one. Very good. So those were sort of the big takeaways of what companies think their customers want, and then when we ask them, so what are you doing about it? How much are you able to deliver against what your customers want? And you can see, I won't walk you through the line by line here, but you can see a very significant gap between what customers want and what companies today are able to deliver. Fairly significant gap, and this is not technically a statistically significant number, but if you just average those gaps, we're missing the mark by about 13-14% if you added those all up together. So we've got a long way to go, and when we ask them why not, what's the problem? A few things you might expect. First of all, lack of corporate commitment. Like nobody in the room before they saw this agenda heard of SoMoLo, right? So who's walking into the CEO's office saying, we need to invest in SoMoLo. I don't know what it is, but we got to invest in it, right? So lack of corporate commitment didn't surprise me. Inability to integrate these new channels. Also not surprising, as these new channels arise, you've got to have the ability to talk to the customer in their language. And their language means, I know you, I know your history, I recognize you as having shopped my stores and my website. So you've got to be able to integrate those new channels. Inventory is becoming the big ugly beast of making sure that you don't promise customers inventory that you don't have when they're shopping you on their phone and they're going to be in the store in 10 minutes to pick it up. You darn well better have it, right? So inventory visibility also made our list pretty high. And then just being able to integrate the stores, right? For those companies that responded that had a lot of stores, and I know some of you in this room have an awful lot of stores, recognize the pain in how do I get my stores up to speed and consistently delivering the kind of service expectations when a shopper walks into the store and says, Dave, can you give me my discount that it says I'm supposed to have on my phone, right? And the last thing you want is the salesperson to say, I don't know what that is, go away, right? So there are serious roadblocks, but the one that I'll close on about the study today is the one that this one was, again, a big number, fully a third, 36% said they don't know where to start. There are so many choices, so many options. Our fits and starts, I'm not that into fits and starts. How do I pick something? Where do I begin? And they said that's one of the main reasons why they haven't really implemented a true program, social and mobile and local programs, because they just can't figure out which programs to implement. And I get it, right? I mean, I live my life. That's my job. I'm director of commerce studies for Red Prairie. I study commerce. That's my job. They pay me to do that all day long, and I can't keep ahead of it. So I can imagine when it comes to making sizable investments in time and resources, that it's a really daunting challenge to figure that out. So what I thought I'd do, without being presumptuous, but I do spend every single day, all day of my life studying these things, I've seen a few things that I think might have potential for you to consider. May or may not apply to your particular customer. What I always recommend to people is you got to talk to your customers to understand what they use, how they interact with these networks and devices and technologies. But here's 4 or 5 that I'd like to share with you that maybe could give you a kickstart. And the good news is they're all very inexpensive to acquire, not necessarily to implement, but easy to acquire. So first and foremost, you might be surprised because Twitter's certainly not something cutting edge, but I just wanted to reacquaint you with the notion of Twitter and use Burberry as an example. Twitter's not really as old school as you might think, and isn't it funny? You know, how old, when would Twitter start? 08, 07, 08, something like that. It's old school, guys. Now, we've moved on. The world's moved on beyond Twitter, but I really don't think it has. And Burberry's a really good example of it. So they're very committed to social. They're very committed to putting technology to work in engaging their customers with their brand. I sort of call them purveyors of exclusive content and consistent dialogues. They do a really good job with engaging their customers. They put their runway shows online pretty much every year where you can engage with the runway as it's happening in real time. They've built up, as you can see, fairly significant base of followers, almost 750,000 on Twitter and 10 million on Facebook. And what they did this year, which was by all reports very successful, is for their 700,000 Twitter followers, the night before the clothes hit the runway, they were released on Twitter. So here's these are the examples. I've got them. Whoops, one too many. You can see some of the examples. So they did TwitPics, they did a beautiful UI, looks very elegant and in keeping with the Burberry image, in my opinion. You guys may not agree. And launched the entire line on Twitter the night before it launched online. So exclusive early access to things.
So is that to buy or just to?
That's to shop, to promote through Twitter and then take you to the catalog page. Yes. Yeah, pretty cool, right? And like, wow. Pinterest. How many of us have a personal Pinterest account? Marla. Yes. I do. Okay, most of the people were women, I think. I could be wrong about that. But look at this curve. You know, 10 million unique visitors a month since April to January or so. Pinterest is wildly hot, white hot. It's really Twitter with photos. They don't limit you to 140 characters. It's 550, I think. But you install the little bookmarklet on your toolbar, and when you see something you like, you click the pin it button, and it pins it to whatever board you decide. You create bulletin boards if you haven't used it before. And so far, the retail images have dominated. It's really become a place for people to express their own sense of style and their wish lists and things like that. Been, like I said, as you can see by the sharp incline on the curve, wildly popular. And fashion's got a formidable footprint on Pinterest. This is something I would recommend that you go home and you get an account and at least look at it and try to get a sense of it and see how you feel about it. But you can see some of the brands. I just took snapshots of some of the brands, fashion brands that are there on Pinterest. There's quite a few retailers there, although they haven't quite figured it out for the most part. Here's Nordstrom. Now this is two weeks ago, I think, when I took this screen capture. About 9,000 followers at that point. I'm sure there's more now, but you can see what they did. Each one of these squares represents a bulletin board, a pin board that they've created, and each one has a theme. So now the people in marketing and merchandising at Nordstrom can express their own opinions, their own sense of style on these boards. And then what happens is when you follow Nordstrom, these pictures show up on your board just like, you show up in your Twitter timeline. And when you click on them, they take you to the content. Nina Garcia, Project Runway, right? She's on Project Runway, fashionista, blogger, designer. She's been very successful on Pinterest with almost 200,000 followers as of a couple of weeks ago. Now, she has the Project Runway vehicle, of course, to help promote her boards. But this is a very interesting model. If you can get in with someone like Nina, catch her eye, catch the popular pinners, if you will, it's very interesting. So I shortcutted a couple of steps here, but if I were to click on her board, then click on this item that interests me, it takes me to a page that describes the item and also takes me to a place to buy that item. So Pinterest is a commerce driving tool. It's much more than just promoting interest. You can really drive people to transactions if you can get eyeballs on your Pinterest items.
You said that retailers haven't figured it out yet. What in your eyes that you've seen about that platform can they do to maximize it more than they are right now?
I think this is the lesson, create a personality. Right? Nordstrom, so backing up, Nordstrom winter sparkle, spring trend, that's not very exciting, right? That sounds and smells like Nordstrom marketing. To me, that's just my opinion. If someone is in here from Nordstrom, my apologies. I'm sure you're very happy with it. But they're a customer too, so I should be very careful. Turn off this mic, Rich, turn it off. But no, it smells like marketing. It doesn't have the same kind of personality now as baked into Nina Garcia's brand, which is all personality and her sense of style. So that's my opinion, is they haven't quite figured out, because that's always the magic in social, is to have a personality and conduct conversation. Don't market to me.
So say Nordstrom had their creative director running their Pinterest account with more personalized content? Right.
I would give her a face. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly what I would do. But that's my opinion. Nordstrom spends a lot of money on marketing, more than I make in a year, so they certainly know better. But it's just my opinion, is that's what I would do. I would create the Nina Garcia of Nordstrom. But that's my opinion. So anyway, it can be very much not only a brand building, but a transaction generating vehicle. And I highly recommend that you check it out. And Red Prairie's got 4 boards that I manage. So please check out Red Prairie and follow me. I try to post a lot of stuff like this on my boards, a little shameless self-promotion there. Okay, those of you with iPhones, how many have Instagram on their phones? All right, everybody, right? What did Instagram do for us? It made our phone cameras relevant. Because we don't do QR codes that often, because we're not that hot and bothered about what QR codes do for us, we're like, okay, I got this camera and it takes pretty good pictures, but what do I do with them? How do I share them? I got blah, blah, blah. Besides Facebook, Instagram really made them relevant for us. And again, their curve, the adoption curve is crazy. This was about 15 months ago, I think they launched. 15 months, 25 million active users, close to 1.5 million pictures a day. Obviously, you all know it, applying the filters and making it very easy to share on a variety of social platforms. And there's been a short but very successful list of retailers and brands who have put Instagram to work for them. One of the things that the 4 employees at Instagram, there are 4 employees at Instagram, one of the best things that they did was expose an API. So it's very easy to embed Instagram functionality into your own app. And companies like Bergdorf Goodman in New York took advantage of that and got creative. And this is, in my opinion, a really cool idea. I'm not a shoe person per se. I've got my standard black lace-ups in 3 colors, black and darker black. But people who like their shoes often have obsessions, and to launch their new shoe salon in New York City, they put together a blog site that's based on Instagram functionality. Take pictures of your shoes in your favorite places around town, share them with everybody, share your shoe obsession, primarily to promote the expanded shoe salon and obviously take advantage of the awareness of the brand. They put a blog site together, Shoes About Town, with a map that shows little snapshots of all the pictures about town. And some of them are fun. I tried to highlight a couple, like was at Penn Station or Grand Central Station out in Central Park, things like that, where people took interesting shots with Instagram. So pretty good photographers with pretty good Instagram skills shared them on their blog. In the first 2 weeks, they got 8,000 followers to the blog. So, Not sure it's a transaction engine, but boy, there's some interesting ways to engage your customers. And by the way, Instagram just announced or just released a version for Android. I don't forget. Do you remember, was it released or announced? Maybe announced, yeah, I apologize, I don't remember. But Android's either here or coming, so something to consider with Android. How about Luminate? Anybody heard of Luminate? You may have and don't know it. This is a way to add overlay content onto online images. So Luminate allows you to add these apps to images online. Okay, there's about 3 trillion images online, so there's lots of opportunity to do this. But they become dynamic and interactive overlays. So Angelina Jolie, right? Fashion icon for a lot of people, certainly the center of a lot of interest with the paparazzi and the blogs. Her picture is all over the internet every day, all day, every day, and all kinds of both shots that are professionally shot as well as paparazzi and other. And I wonder if this might not be ushering in the dawn of i-commerce. So the way it works, here's a silly celebrity blog. Sorry, Jared, I don't know if it's silly. It seems kind of silly. Just Jared is a celebrity blog. He got a hold of a picture of Angelina Jolie making a speech somewhere wearing this sort of beige dress. With Illuminate, this app appears. All I do is put my mouse in the corner. So if this publisher is a customer of Luminate's, I now have the opportunity to share this picture with my friends on Facebook or Twitter, or the one we probably all care about in this room is the shopping basket app. So I mouse over it and it shows me what items are available to sell in the app. I click on the little icon, up comes an ad to get that look from Macy's. Now it's a knockoff, it's not the exact dress, but Macy's said, you know what, I've got a dress that looks pretty much like that. Pretty darn close. Click on it. What does it do? Takes me to a catalog page where I can either take it, whatever I want to do. I just picked an example of not only could I find it, but theoretically I might be looking at this either on my phone, right? A lot of these celebrity things are phones, so I could find it in a store nearby. How creative is that? From a blog post to find that dress in my store right now. Pretty powerful stuff. There's about 100 different merchants that participate, including Macy's, Zappos, Nordstrom, and a bunch of publishers have signed up, 4,000 publishers, and those publishers combined get about 150 million visitors a month with about 30 billion image views a year. Now that's not 30 billion click-throughs, but that's 30 billion pictures that people have looked at. So something to think about. Okay, 2 more. This one I call the social Google of fashion. And I learned about this from a Bible study group of 17-year-old girls that were on a retreat in San Diego. I was on a Delta flight to Atlanta, and somehow or other, when I was 17, this would have never happened to me. I was right in the middle of all these 17-year-old girls. Now that I'm 48, it's kind of creepy. But when I was 17, it would have been magic. There were about 30 of them, and they were all wearing the same little hoodie sweatshirt coming home from a trip. And technology geek that I am very happy to admit once again that I am, I talked to them about how they shop. I was like, this is like a focus group. And all they wanted to do was talk. So you guys, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. There's me and girls bending over their chairs to tell me how they shop and showing me stuff on their phone. I swear it was creepy. I think the flight attendant didn't know what to think of me with all these 17-year-olds. But I learned so much in that 3-hour flight. And one of the things I learned about most telling was shop style. You guys are nodding your heads. Every single one of them. Now, they're all influencing each other, so the results are skewed, but every single one of them, I said, and it was prom time, right? It's coming up on prom time. They're 17. I'm like, how are you going to find a dress? Shop style and haute look, right? Those are the two. But shop style was unanimous. Haute look was about half, but shop style was far and away. Oh, we go shop style first. Oh, we go to shop style first. And I got all the pictures and everything. So shop style, right? It's the Google of fashion. You all know it. I won't spend too much of your time, right? Everybody more or less knows it. They get it, right? They bring, and they've got hundreds of brand partners. You can see some of them here. They put a lot of content, style notes, celebrity style, alerts. They create this portal of fashion, and then they make it social by giving both their editors as well as their people that join the site, people that belong to the shop style site, a chance to create look boards or style books. pardon me, style books. And you can see some of the looks. The newest, I circled the recently popular is the one I've got. So now people get a chance to express their own style, share it with their friends. They can set up followers inside of Shop Style. Very social shopping experience to a very, very popular site that's got a good model. Oh, by the way, they're all over Pinterest. And what they do with Pinterest is they promote their users. Now, they don't promote their own stuff. They promote their users' lookbooks. So they've got Pinterest boards for boards we love. Yes, sir?
How is Shop Style different than like Polyvore? Is there a difference?
The Polyvore is very similar. It's a great question. I used to talk about Polyvore a couple of years ago, and they do a very similar thing, but Polyvore, to my knowledge, is really, I think it's more or less the same.
I see like the collages here.
Yes, that's Polyvore.
Started to do Polyvore, but I'm wondering
Yeah.
like is Shop Style where we should be focusing our...
I think you should look into it. Yeah, look at the numbers, right? 1.3 a month. That's up about 500,000 last year. They are very similar, and I don't think I know enough to answer with definitive what the differences are. But I know Polyvore is very much collage-driven, collection-driven, contests, celebrity styles. You know better than I, clearly. And this appears to be as much content as style books. There's a lot of content here. It would be the one difference that jumps out at me. Fair enough? Okay, so they're also on Pinterest, and I said I think really good idea is to promote their users' content, right? Because what do? Look, Shop Style posted my pin on my board to their 300 friends, right? Posted my lookbook on their board. So, and they clearly get it when it comes to the SoMoLo model. Very interactive and engaging Facebook site, dedicated iPad apps, dedicated phone apps, and even ShopSense, which rewards bloggers and other people for producing content that links back to Shop Style stuff. And they make APIs available so you can put the lookbooks and things from the Shop Style site onto ShopSense. So pretty smart people doing some pretty cool things. Okay, so those are my big 5. This is my extra credit because this is 101, the 101 SoMoLo 101 class. This is just something I recommend that you put on your radar. Microsoft Kinect, the motion game, the Wii without the remote, just made their commercial API available in February. Okay, they had an API available sort of to hackers last year, but now it's available to everybody, and you will see, I think, in the coming months, an awful lot of activity about how to put that motion sensing camera to work to enrich the shopping experience. And by the way, I didn't have time in today's session to go into this, but Body Metrics certainly has a lot of momentum in this space right now. They launched they were at CE. I don't know if they launched at CE. Got a lot of buzz coming out of the CES show in January. But one of the demos that I saw online was actually in the store. It was very interesting. So the Body Metrics, you go into the Body Metrics thing, it takes the pictures of you, and it tells you your body style, and then recommends the styles in their store that fit your style. Yeah, and they didn't call it pear, by the way. Pear didn't show up anywhere. Because that's the first thing I thought. Now, who wants to sit in front of a salesperson and say, I have a pear shape, because I have a pear shape? I'm like, that's not what I want. But they, ruby and emerald, so they were very marketized body styles. But my point was, for those of you who have stores, it was an interesting insight for me that, wow, and then it makes it very easy to recommend, right? Here's your body style, here's your style profile, and your body shape. Here's some items that we think will look good for you. Okay? So, for our final exam then, all done. So I've got 4 or 5 notes that might be on the final next week. First of all, I think it's important that to be successful in this new era, we have to stop thinking of ourselves as marketers, and we got to start thinking of ourselves as media. It's important that we start to think about publishing content that engages our users, that reaches our users, and talks to them in language that they relate to. We're inundated with marketing. We're all got spam filters, both literal spam filters and virtual spam filters in our brains where we tune things out. Believe me, I know, because I'm trying to break through your spam filters. That's part of my job, and it's really hard to do. So you've noticed, as a good example, I've spent 30 minutes of your time, and I really haven't said one word about any software that I have to sell, right? This is what my lesson to you is: try to find ways to reach your people. Think of yourself as media first, the marketing will follow. So, always on customers require always on marketing. It's time to start embracing some of these new platforms and technologies. Talk to your customers. I can't say this enough. Talk to both your existing, and I put this in parentheses, your target customers, the people that you think you want to reach. Talk to them too. Don't only talk to the people that you've managed to reach. Understand their preferences. Look for ways to add value in ways beyond discounting. Right? You guys know better than I the trouble that you get into if you train them to always want discounts. Things like exclusivity and early access and sharing content. And then this one's hard. This one's a tough pill to swallow, but be prepared for some trial and error. You're going to try something and it's going to be hot, and then something's going to happen and Pinterest is going to fade, and you're going to, your audience is going to go with them. That is the risk. One of the big risks about investing in other people's platforms, right? Is if the platform fades, so does your investment. So be prepared for that. Do your homework. Listen to your customers. Try to draw insights from them. And then budget both emotionally and financially for some trial and error. And by all means, do your exit interviews of yourself. What worked and what didn't work for us. So I hope that hope you learned something today, or at least had a laugh or two. If you did, come see us at the booth. I work for Red Prairie. We've got solutions. Our all-channel commerce solutions can certainly help you get to all those places with an integrated platform with a single record of the customer, single record of inventory, and we can help you sell anywhere and fulfill anywhere. Love to talk to you about that. Jeff's here in the room. Would absolutely love to come talk to you about our all-channel commerce solutions, as well as the other things we have to share with you. And I do have copies of the study in the booth if you want to come pick up paper, or if you want to be a SoMoLo shopper. commerceinmotion.com is my website. I'd love for you to visit there. I've got all kinds of content and assets and infographics, things like that. So I'm done. I'd love to take questions if you have them, but I know it's lunchtime too. So thank you very much for your time, you guys.